Hello everybody, Bennett Fitch here with Nori Corporation, and welcome to another Nori unboxing. Alright guys, we're here to look at the Chevron IsoClean Oil Sampling Kit. Now, you may think, okay, I know about oil analysis, I know about oil sampling, but sometimes there's a lot of details that you may not be familiar with. IsoClean is all about certified clean lubricants. Now, this is a way for us to measure the cleanliness of the lubricant or everything else about the lubricant. And in order to get a good sample, a good representative sample about the machine, you must follow the right procedures and use the right tools. That's all what's part of good condition monitoring, to look at the overall reliability of your machines. So here we got a lot of cool things to look at, so let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing I noticed when I opened this kit, that there was a lot of items. I was like, wow, an oil sampling kit requires all this, but it obviously dawned on me pretty quickly. And so a few things you might notice firsthand, a sample vacuum pump like this is pretty common. A lot of people are familiar with this. We'll get to this and the other typical stuff in a minute. But when I first opened it up, this smaller box came inside of this bigger box, along with everything else you saw here. And I was thinking to myself, what is all this safety equipment, like a vest, or the safety gloves, or safety those gloves right here, not trial gloves, and we have goggles, and we have or safety glasses and earplugs. So if a lot of you might have that already, that's great. But if you don't, here it is. And you even have things like a flashlight. This flashlight right here, which I thought was a kind of a cool flashlight, I might end up using this for some other things, is important because when you're taking a sample, you want to be ready to inspect anything that's happening in the machine, including if you have an opportunity to open up a hatch, because that's how you take a sample in a larger tank or something. You need to observe what you see floating on top, or if you see through the oil, whatever it takes to get an idea what's happening in the machine. But obviously there's a lot of other things here. Larger bottles here. These bottles are important for purging oil first, as you purge the oil through a line. Or, if you need to take a larger sample, you could take it with this, but usually these are used for purging oil. And then you have these larger Ziplock bags. There's a lot of Ziplock bag usage in taking a sample or preparing to take a sample, because you need to keep things as clean as possible in the entire process. A good sampling procedure requires the entire process to not influence the resulting data that will get analyzed in the laboratory. So cleanliness is a big theme with all of this. Taking samples, you want to make sure you are following the right procedure and all that, but just the fact of taking a sample can be messy. So having rags they put in there, they even put a whole box of wipe balls in here, which everyone knows about. Those are useful at keeping all the leaks and messes that go around, keep them clean. Let's get into the sampling equipment here. So here we have the vacuum pumps. There's two actually, so that's nice. They have the normal tubing you use for taking a sample, and that's interesting. They have 6 of these already in a Ziploc bag. So they're giving you an example of how it should be done. So if you take more samples after that, you're not only taking 6 samples here. You can have an opportunity to see how it should be done by putting them in a bag when you're at the office, and you get your bottles ready, you get your pump ready, and you put it in the larger Ziploc bag. So everything kind of comes in here as well. The tube itself kind of gets inserted right here into this knurled knob. Then you put your bottle through here as well. So that's typical oil sampling, is you assemble it that way, and then the tube itself connects to the machine, or you can use a drop tube method to go inside a machine from a top. And then you can start pulling a sample by pulling up right here. So all this stuff is pretty common for good oil sampling practices. But one of the interesting things here is this stainless steel tubing that they have. So I'm not really as familiar with this, but this is only a useful addition to oil sampling if we are requiring to take samples from a larger tank, and we need to figure out what the sample or the oil looks like in maybe different corners, different zones, top, bottom, left, right, all the directions. We're talking about 3,000 to 1,000 gallon tanks, something of that size. So here we have these stainless steel piping that you kind of connect like Lincoln logs here, and that was the way at least I saw it here. And you put the tubes together. They give you several of these, so you can connect 2, 3, 4, 5, however many you need. And then you connect this right here. They give you a whole bunch of different elbows and adapters to connect it right here. So then when the bottle's connected, you can pull a sample. But the important thing here is that you're able to direct the end of that tube to the right spot in the machine. Because sometimes with a tube like this, the tube is so curved that once you put it in there, it's curling around and you have no idea where it's going to end up. And so that kind of gets away from that problem. If it's a smaller machine and you can use a kind of a guide wire, oh, here it is. They have a guide wire right here that you can attach to it, and they have some electrical tape as well to attach the normal tubing to it as you insert in the machine, but that's only going to be useful for smaller machines. So there's at least 3, 4, 5 different ways you can take a sample with all the different ways or different things they provide here in this kit. I don't think they left out very much, including I think it's really nice that they provide sample bottles that show you that a bottle should come already sealed up like this. You see that little red line right there? That red line means that this has been sealed and certified clean. If you get bottles that do not have this seal, or you get a bottle that the bottle's in one box and the cap's in the other box and they're separated, you know they're not going to be clean enough for taking oil samples. You need to make sure you get certified clean bottles. So there's a lot of great things. Of course, they provide instructions here. I see some links to some videos you can watch and how to take that procedure. But honestly, everything here is really well set up to understanding how to take a good sample, including a clipboard that came with it to put down all information as you're out there, labels and everything. So it seems like Chevron included all the necessary things, especially for someone who's really new to oil sampling, oil analysis, and wants to have an idea what it all takes to get the job done. So if you have more questions, interested in learning more about Chevron, we have a QR code you can click on right here, and we can chat more later on. Thank you, guys.